This is Linus Lopez. We are talking in the background of the PLDC 2019 in Rotterdam. We're going to be talking about light and art with Janet Echelman and Amanda Szabo. Janet, it was such an amazing presentation, as much for the fact that you have brought light and art together at a scale that we have not been used to seeing at a level of the city. Could you describe for us this journey that you've had to, get to this point where you're doing something which satisfies you so much?
Well, I really started out as a painter, and after 10 years of painting, I had the opportunity to go to India on a Fulbright to teach painting and to learn. And I shipped all my paints to India to prepare for exhibits around the country. The U.S. Embassy had rented the gallery spaces, and they were waiting for me to produce my art, but my paints went missing. Oops. They never arrived, and I just had to figure it out, another way of making art. And so it was on the beach in South India that I discovered, I was watching the fishermen making their nets, and I thought that was another way of creating volumetric form without heavy solid material. And then I began to cast light onto the surfaces of these netted forms. And the rest is history. It's really a magical material that I am continuing to learn about with each project. So for me, learning and trying something new each time is what keeps it alive for me.
Beautiful. Amanda, would you also agree with that combination of experimental, take what you get, the opportunities, and does that also describe your journey to where you are now?
Totally. I think it was 7 years ago when I had an opportunity to either go to Copenhagen or stay in my hometown.
It's interesting. It's like our lives are about these turning points where you make a choice. And you don't know where this one or that one will go, but you make a choice and it leads you somewhere that you didn't know.
Exactly. And I moved into a country like Holland or Denmark, where you see all these big buildings and beautiful lighting. I was working with a lighting designer because projection mapping and lighting design goes on the same direction on stage. So I had the experience of lighting design, not just stage lighting, but also architectural lighting. And that's how I got into architectural lighting later. But it's very interesting. Experimenting is very important. If you don't go and you don't test, you don't touch, you don't what you were doing with the fishermen, you don't hold the material in your hand, then until that moment you don't have the new ideas coming to you.
And actually, one of my newest works is no longer using the net from the fishermen as a material, but is using just mist and colored light. And it was very much about testing, because I tried one source of light in color, and that wasn't enough. I tried a second source with a different color, and that started to blend, but that still wasn't enough of complexity. And then I needed a third color at the same time to start to get the kind of rhythm and dynamic quality I wanted in the color of the moving piece. That's the new piece in Philadelphia in front of City Hall.
Nice. So tell me, how did you find this new medium? What was your first inspiration? Because I understand the string installation and the wind blowing and the structure. And I see the similarity in the mist as well, but what was your first inspiration when you found out, okay, it should be actually mist?
It was the place itself. The site always informs what I create, and I like it that way. I like to have a set of constraints, which actually for me it makes it more creative, like the confines create the freedom. So this is a site in front of Philadelphia City Hall, and I just delved into its history, and it was the original waterworks for the city. So I felt like the thing that would speak to it was water, and the plaza had been a train station when the trains ran on steam. And I thought it has to be about the role that transportation and the trains played in the history of this city. I wanted to just trace that unseen unfolding of the city. Those trains are moving, and so in real time above ground, my colored light and mist are moving to trace that path. So it's about getting to know your city.
And Janet, one of the things that I noticed during your presentation was it wasn't just about the materials, but the context that that material had, as you were just describing. You have managed to use so many different types of materials, but only when they are related in some way to that experience that you want to create.
I would agree with that. I think we human beings, we like to be told stories. This is how human history has unfolded. Our connections to each other, we understand in terms of narrative. And the materials, the colors of light, the way that the intervention, whatever it is, relates to its space and to the history of that place, to the way people think of themselves in that space. I'm very much playing with our identity or our assumptions about home and who we are and what is our place in it.
I have a project running right now with a lighting design partner. It's called Zohar Concept, and what we could do is basically an immersive light art installation where you walk in and you are immersed with different kinds of different colors of light, and basically we bring memories out of the people, and we create memories or we create visions. So when people walk in, they are in a relaxed position, and when they walk out, they are in a Zen mode.
Pay attention to your questions and try and follow them. And if you don't have any money, then take the materials you have out of the recycling bin. Take whatever you can, and I find that I learn best by doing. And find any opportunity to build it at the scale you envision. It's so easy to have an idea or a sketch on a piece of paper, or even to make a rendering in a computer, because that's fiction.
Yes.
And we are in the business of creating real life experiences for real people.
Yeah.
And there's no substitute for trying it in the real world.
Beautiful. What a lovely way to end this conversation. Thank you so much, Janet. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
That was really nice. Thank you.